This is a show about facing fear, unlocking courage, and taking action.
Courage isn't necessarily a daunting thing.
It's going to give you more purpose. It's going to give you more drive.
It feels like making a courageous decision is going to get you closer to who you aspire to be.
It's knowledge plus faith plus action equals courage.
Courage is to say no to short-term result and economical performance to build a long-term resilience business, being yourself and never losing yourself. I always say the best way to do your job is not being afraid to lose it.
Here's kind of how I want to start the show. I want to pose two questions, and you could take this or the audience could take it. And the two questions are, one, if you don't know what you stand for, how do you know when to take a stand? And two, where might you need courage the most? Because today's conversation, in my opinion, lives at this tricky, we'll call it the gray area of where business, humanity, and the future we're actively and collectively shaping live. And I've got kids, Maya. So I'm thinking about my 13-year-old and my 10-year-old and how do we make this world a little bit better for them. Now, you've made some pretty impressive choices here. I mean, you're thinking bigger, you're going bolder, you're thinking bigger than just beauty. Your title says it all to me. You're the Chief Sustainability and Human Rights Officer at L'Oreal Canada. So how does one end up in this role? And do you absolutely love coming to work every day?
In fact, I love my job. I love my job. I love my life. And all what is really meaningful for me, I make it happen and I work on it. So I think we really shape the life we want, and we really shape the role we want to endorse in the society. So, or I became Chief Sustainability Human Rights Officer because I love people and I love nature. And as you, I think we have to be conscious about the power we have. I always say that I belong to the 1% of the population that can travel, speak freely, married or not married with who I want. I can do what I want with my own body. I have no body oppression. I can study whatever I want to. I can travel. I have food. I have a home. So I'm a privileged person. And the point is what I do with all this power. So beyond beauty, and I really love the company with who I work for 25 years now.
Congratulations.
L'Oréal. Yeah, a big love story, love and hate story. I think like all the strong couple. But beyond beauty, I think I really don't want to lose my time in life. I want to make it meaningful. So what I do today really excites me, and more than ever is meaningful in the geopolitical context of polarization, when everybody do some step back, face to the backlash of DEI, the backlash of sustainability. I never feel so useful than today. And I will not feel comfortable to look at me in the mirror if I was a little bit less bold than today. And I am happy to have a strong voice and to speak up and stand up for the value I believe in, especially this year or last year. At the end of the day, it was easy to be a sustainability chief officer and human rights officer 2 years ago. It's getting tougher today. And it's really now that we need to demonstrate that our value, our conviction are truly action. I speak too much, Ryan.
No, I'm just going to sit back and put my feet up and you keep going. No, look, I can't help but think when you started in 2001, right, if I'm doing the math correctly, right, I had just, let's see here, lived through 9/11 in New York City. And then there was basically a series of events over 1,000 days that brought me west. So I live in Southern California now. And again, then it was heads down, learning how to be a business owner. How do you do that? Trying to develop a team. How do you do that? Right. Trying to help leaders. And this was way before Courageous started. Just, get clear on who they are. I think about you in 25 years there. Did you know going in, did you choose L'Oreal out of the gate because of the beauty side, or did you know straight out of the gate about the human rights and sustainability, or was it just something as you went on your journey and you're like, wow, maybe there's something more here?
I chose L'Oréal because of the people that are in L'Oréal. I truly believe in mentor. So I believe in mentor and karma. So that is weird, huh? I'm very intuitive, in a way a little bit spiritual, not a little bit, quite spiritual, a little bit hippie. Maybe I am super woke at the end of the day. But I choose L'Oréal because I have met amazing people who give me the will to live a true adventure. And L'Oréal give me the opportunity to live where I want to live. I have lived in India, I have lived in Brazil, now I am living in Canada, and I have the impression that everything is possible to me. And there is not so much company would give you this perspective that everything is possible. The second point, people at L'Oréal are super accelerated, and me too. I'm a huge bomb of energy. And in L'Oréal, nothing is impossible. Maybe because we are the leader on the industry, we are really will to innovate all the time. So this kind of energy to make it happen, to dream big, to realize it, it's something that really fit with my value. So there is a cultural fit that really make me happy. Otherwise, I will be out of L'Oréal. And what I love also, why in L'Oréal I do sustainability and human rights, at the end of the day, I have started by being an international marketing director. So my first work was about understanding people and their relationship with beauty. So it was more human focus at the end of the day. Why Japanese want to be beautiful, what is behind, what is meaning behind, what is beautiful in Japan, what is beautiful in China, what is beautiful in South America, what is beautiful about in India. And believe me, beyond beauty, you have culture, you have value, you have history. And beauty is very deep. It talks about who you are, it talks about what you believe in, it talks about your community. So I never see beauty as something superficial. It's exactly the contrary. It talks about your society, your country, and your culture. And I will tell you something even more weird. If you put me in a huge room, you put 100%, you take off their clothes. Just let me see their haircut, their skin, the way they have put their makeup. I think I can tell you from which country they come from.
Wild. Just wild.
And I will tell you also, in terms of how do you read a country, for example, the relationship with your hair. If women have shorter hair, and you are used to see women with short haircuts, most of the time, in terms of human rights, it's quite positive for women. If they hide their hair or they have very long hair, it doesn't mean that it's not positive, but it means maybe it's more conservative. So even those who some symbol of beauty, you can read about your society. So me, I start by doing products that fit each type of beauty. I have created product for Indian consumer, understanding Indian beauty, what is behind. I have done a lot of product from Brazil, understanding what is beauty in Brazil, what is being beautiful in a very multicultural context, and what is behind. So at the end of the day, it's about understanding people and make them feel good. So it's totally consistent with human rights, DEI, and sustainability.
Lots to replay back to you. Lots that's landing with me. One, I also feel like a very spiritual person. Like that's just who I am. Yes, I'm with you. Like my upbringing, I actually grew up Jewish, but I went to a Christian summer camp and then dated Mormon girl. Like I've seen it all, done it, and I've traveled, so you got to see different perspectives, and I went to Buenos Aires at a young age and got to knock the soccer ball around and have my steak and maybe a little bit of wine a little earlier than I should have, right? But I feel similar to you on the spiritual side. Second, I'm so fascinated by your work on beauty globally. One of the things that I am curious about doing is looking at courage through the lens of if you actually ranked countries by courageousness, what does courage feel like in Japan? What does courage feel like in Canada? What does courage look like in the US? This country down here, we're not going to get political today, but I feel, to your point, almost how you started, I'm in the 1%. I have the freedom to start a company. Why not me? I also have the access to go do it. I can be curious enough to go do it. I acknowledge that's a direct link to my upbringing. I love the idea of looking at the lens of what does courage feel like in France versus maybe somewhere in Africa versus somewhere in Brazil. And I want to turn to your work in Brazil because I feel like it became a benchmark globally. And it was a wild chapter for you. There was a lot of courage in there. There was a threading the needle on what's sensitive there, but also what's considered bold. Can you share a little bit about your work in Brazil and when were you down there?
Yes, but I really love your question, Ryan, super deep. I think what is courage in one country, I think it's to fall in love with the other and to unify the country, even though if we are truly different, to face the complexity of the country, to overpass the polarization, and to be true with yourself and not playing a personage. So I was thinking about that. So thank you for the question, because, for example, in Canada, what is courage is building reconciliation with indigenous people. What is courage is to stand up for sovereignty of our country, keeping our value and not being influenced just by United States or other country, being truly ourselves. So courage, it's about being ourselves, but also embracing what is different, what can make you uncomfortable, and create unity with it. So what is courage in Brazil? It's a little bit the same. It's facing extreme poverty, because even though if the country have improved in terms of poverty, courage is embracing poverty and fighting against poverty with a mindset of everybody have talent, but not everybody has the same opportunity. So courage is what we have done in Brazil, is creating beauty school in the community where it's in the most complicated community where you have a lot of violence, giving opportunity to women. Courage, it's about creating and valorizing women that are in extreme vulnerability situation, giving them a job, giving them their financial independence to express their full potentiality. And that I have worked on more than 42 different projects in Brazil to give them opportunity, because me, I had, but them, they didn't. And they have probably far more talent than what I have today, but they have so little power to express it. Courage, it's about standing up when it's not easy. And believe me, in Brazil, it was not so easy when I was there in terms of freedom of expression. And saying, yes, Amazonia and the forest and indigenous rights is something we fight for in L'Oréal, Brazil. Courage, it's about decarbonizing your economy when it's not trendy to do it, because you know that is the right thing to do. Courage, it's to say no to short-term result and economical performance to build a long-term resilience business, being more sustainable, more closer to your community. So it's playing the long-term run and not avoiding the difficulty. So for me, is that courage. And courage, it's also being yourself and never losing yourself into your ego, never you losing your courage to say no or to stand up for a cause, even though if it's difficult, even though if it's not good for you. I always say the best way to do your job, it's not being afraid to lose it. So courage, it's when you stand up for your value and you are not afraid to lose your job in the most difficult situation. It's when you fight for something bigger than you. The other, nature, the community, not for your personal interest, not for your personal promotion.
I mean, what could be more beautiful than that? I mean, I see why you're in the beauty business, and you know, the real on this. Somehow, some way, we've now done over. Gosh, we're approaching like our 275th episode of the Courageous Podcast, and I can tell you, with all my heart, rarely do people come on that think they're courageous. They're truth tellers. They believe in being real, right? Like they just keeping it real is now an act of courage, which is amazing and wild to think. Like what happened to us to just keep staying true is an act of courage. When people join the brand and they learn that beauty hits differently, it's not just what you think. Do you see a light go off in them when they get to start to see like does the energy change on how you define beauty over there?
But I will ask you, how do you define beauty? What is beauty for you, Ryan?
Well, I would say, and I have to be careful on this one because, right, like I would say I know too much now to be dangerous, right? Beauty to me is when I'll do it in the story. One of my very first interviews, not for the podcast, for a book that I wrote called Return on Courage, was with an astronaut. And I sat down with her and she said to me that her definition of success is when there's no daylight between the personal you and the professional you.
I love it.
I think that's the definition of beauty. When you're true to yourself and you're honest to yourself, and it doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Tuesday or you're in front of a board room or you're in front of 1,000 people or you're in front of your child or you're in front of your spouse, it doesn't matter. The only audience is you. And, you know, you don't have to be tone deaf to situations that we're in, right? You have to be thoughtful about that. But that's what beauty is to me. It's like I get to be me. Why I left my last life, I left the idea business. Like as I left the advertising business is what I left. And I moved into the courageous business. I still deeply love ideas. It's an addiction. But to me, more than that, it's the people. It's being able to be me in any situation. That is my definition of beauty. And I found myself saying this. I wonder if this lands with you at all. Like, I both care and not care now at the same time. Like, I deeply care about the things I care about, and I'm at peace that I'm not for everybody. But for the people I'm with, I deeply care. The things I'm passionate about, I deeply care. I have empathy for those that are not with me on topics. I think that's beauty as well. Did I pass the test?
No, me, I just listened to you. It was the beauty of listening and the connection. But no, really, but I think like you, beauty, there is a lot of beauty in authenticity and reducing the gap between what you say, your heart, and your body. Being truly connected with who you are and what you believe in. I think beauty, it's about also interconnection, relationship with other, because being connected and autotic alone at the end of the day didn't give you any happiness, neither pleasure. So I think there is a lot of beauty in sharing, in the other, in something outside you. So the connection and the interconnection is for me all about beauty. And it's what I love by studying the different kind of beauty. Beauty, it's also a story about differences. How do you know that blue is blue if you don't have other color? So for me, the beauty, it's about having multiple possibility and respect and looking at it with their full potentiality. So beauty, it's about also humility. When you face the beauty of nature and we have this arrogance that we will save the planet, we will never save the planet. We are the one who destroy it. So beauty, it's about humility and knowing that you are very small in this big world, even though if you are 1%. But at the end of the day, you are an immigrant on this planet. At the end of the day, she's the mother of everything, and you are interconnected with life. So there is a lot of beauty with with humility, with difference, with connection, with emotion too. And I think our world needs more beauty. And I'm not talking about makeup. I'm talking about being a little bit deeper and connected, humble, and celebrating differences. And it's what I love at the end of the day in my job. It makes sense to me.
Well, I'm with you, and I think, again, I wish I could have had taken a time machine to seen you in 2001 to where you were in 2005 to 2008, like how you've evolved. We've all evolved, and I think we've all, well, I shouldn't speak for everyone. I feel like I've evolved from the 22-year-old kid that went into an ad agency that wanted to just make funny stuff and compete, to learning more about myself than I ever thought I wanted to know about myself, to this whole platform has nothing to do with me. It's like I'm trying to introduce courageous people to the world. How are they taking on fear? How are they keeping it real? You've been in this role now for almost 5 years, 2022, right? I'm curious what you've learned about yourself since then, what's changed about you since then, and has there been, like, in the spirit of courage, has there been a courageous cultural or organizational shift you feel you've had to navigate since you've been in the seat?
First, I think living it's a journey of learning, and I'm not sure that is my work would make me learn so much. Is the fact to live in different country, to be very direct and sincere, and also the fact to live different experiences. So, for example, when I have left France to live in India, I have discovered another face of me, another identity. What really impressed me is when you express yourself in one language or another, you don't have the same personality. So I think when I speak French, I'm slightly smarter and more eloquent. When I speak Portuguese, I'm warmer, more emotional, more connected. I'm always smiling. When I speak English, I'm sharper and more action driven. So if we talk about learning about courage, I think I learn in each country a new piece of myself. In India, I learn a piece of myself that I never discover, but India reveal a piece of myself. In Brazil, I reveal another piece of myself. In Canada, I reveal another piece of myself. And I choose the piece that I want to express the most. And for example, India was really a shifter about human rights and being feminist, because I have seen so many women with no face because of acid and everything, and so many challenges in terms of human rights and gender equity in India, that I was really close to quit, even though L'Oréal, and to fight for women's rights in India, and to dedicate my energy to make it more acceptable, because seriously, for me, it was too much. When I was in Brazil, so in India, I learned about the courage to be a woman and to fight for the other woman, to join force, to face death, extreme poverty. When I was in Brazil, I learned the courage to face polarization, one more time, extreme poverty, racism. So in each country, I learned different kind of courage. In Canada, I learned the courage to speak up, because most of the time in Canada, they are really soft and very educated, but they don't talk of what is painful, or there is a kind of negationism, for example, on reconciliation and stuff like that. So I have learned to speak up loudly and to disclose and break the silence on topics that nobody wants to talk. So in each country, you develop a different kind of courage, but you discover who you are and you take the best part of each one and you choose the person you want to be. And that is something that I really love, because at the end of the day, there is no one truth. There is a lot of different filters and answer to the same issue depending the culture. So I think I have give up of this notion of universal truth. Each truth are really subjective and relative, but I have more choice to decide how I will act in a certain situation. In my Indian way, in my French way, in my Brazilian way, in my Canadian way. So I have more color to act, and I know better who I am. And I'm full of color.
You've had the luxury of seeing places and going places. And I'm going to use a US statistic only because it's top of mind for me. So forgive me that this is all I've got to go off of. Okay. So there's around 340 million people in the US, maybe 370. 50%, the last time I ran in the statistic, 50% live 50 miles from where they were born. So you have 170 million people that, if they were born in New Jersey, half the people, one of two, only knows New Jersey. They don't have the awareness to know what it's like to live in other places.
Yeah.
Right. And one of two goes on an adventure and is like, get me out of this place. I'm going to go check out California. I want to go check out wherever they end up. A job might take them there. A spouse might take them there. Maybe they take them there. You just rattled off 4 continents. You've seen so many different things. Obviously, if someone is listening to this show, it does say something about them. For being the Courageous podcast, I could have called it the Curious podcast. There's a curiosity to people that listen to this show. For someone that is on their commute to work right now or on their way home listening, that's lived in the same city for 15 years or 20 years, that does want to have more awareness as to the rest of the world, but maybe they don't have the means. Maybe they need to be where they are for whatever reason at this moment. How do you go? What advice would you give them? What should they read? What YouTube videos should they watch? Like, what's your advice for them to just open up the aperture and have more awareness?
Thank you for the question. First, I will tell you what traveling and living in another country bring me. It bring me another perspective, and it make me feel alone and a loser, because I am the immigrant. I belong to nowhere. I let everything behind and I have to rebuild everything. When you have this feeling, you give value to what you have, to your friendship, to your family. If you have never been an immigrant, you cannot understand the world. So for me, this position of extreme vulnerability, let it go, rebuild everything is what the travel teach you. And at the end of the day, it teach you empathy. It teach you connection with the other. What travel teach me? Empathy. Connection with other. Do you need to do 1,000 miles to learn it? No. But maybe just talking with your neighbor, with who you have never talked before, is the biggest travel you can do. Putting yourself in an uncomfortable zone, in an area that you don't know, being vulnerable, being the loser, being the lonely in the middle of the majority, it's a big trouble because you will be hypersensitive. So I'm not so sure that is a question of book or a question of going to another country. I think it's a question of, as you say, curiosity and meeting the other. And the other is somebody that is different from you and you should be in a very vulnerable and listening position. And when you do that, I think you increase your happiness and your presence, all your certitude disappear. And you become more agile and sensitive and emotionally connected to the other. So being in the uncomfortable zone, going and meet your neighbor, asking who they are, tell me your story. Ryan, you are a travel. Just talking with you, you are a travel for me. You share what you do, you share what you believe. It's traveling for me. So each people are a travel and we should listen to them. I think it's as easy as that.
I got to
But
tell you,
even though in the United States, if you live in Texas and you go, for example, to New York and United States, it's a continent. There is a lot of subculture. If you are, for example, American and you have a Latino neighbor, just talk with your Latino neighbor and discover his food, his music, talk about his culture. That is a travel. You don't need to go to Mexico to discover Mexico. Just talk with your Mexican friend. There is such a multicultural context that is rich and colorful in United States. Just look at the richness of the difference and enjoy it. So you don't need to travel so much to learn from the other.
I mean, one, I'm absolutely going to throw a potluck in the neighborhood. So you've inspired me that everyone's going to bring their whatever they want to make. I'm going to throw something in the hood here in San Diego. So I want you to know you inspired me. We're really going to do it. I love that idea. You're more than welcome to, if you happen to be in San Diego or you want to come to San Diego, come on down. You're invited.
Just to tell you, for example, my neighbor, they come from Iran and they cook for me. They do Iranian food and they put their music, they explain their food. And what I learned in 2 hours just by getting down 2 floors, maybe is more precious than traveling to Iran with a traditional tourist tour. But I'm really connected to them. They give it to me. I'm ready to receive. Sharing food is highly strategic and highly generous and symbolic. So eat a lot of food and ask why this food, what does it mean to your country when you share this food? That's also, it's a big travel. So love your potluck.
I mean, it's just to bring it full circle. It's all beauty. I mean, to me, it's all beauty. And I'm not trying to put that word where it doesn't belong. You know, I feel like L'Oreal has a brand, but I also feel that Maya has a brand. Like you are not afraid to be yourself. And
No.
then these two brands also coexist, right? Like they allow you to be you. So I'm curious, again, does they have their brand, you have your brand, you're inside this environment. I imagine they get you at this point where you get to be yourself. But a lot of people cannot be themselves at work. How do you go about and I'm sure you see it inside L'Oreal too, when you meet someone that's like, there feels like the freedom is not there. It's like they feel constrained. They're poor little fly little brand, right? Fly little bird, but they're trapped. For someone at L'Oreal, okay, if someone's at another company, maybe that's harder advice to give. But for someone at L'Oreal, a company that actually allows you to be yourself, when you see that in somebody, how do you help bring them out fully?
In fact, I think there is always a space to be yourself, but you have to understand the intersection. When you have another brand, another company that have a certain form of culture, you have to be able to explain what is this culture. So, for example, I will take L'Oréal. It's a company that is accelerated, very universal, very dynamic, very grounded in terms of performance, very curious and innovative, highly creative. Good. Me, what I am. I'm super accelerated, too much energy. I love the world. I love people. I love dreaming, but I love to make it happen. So you have to know with who you are talking with in terms of company. It's like a couple, a dialogue, or a tango. And you have to identify the intersection between the two universes. And you have to play in this circle of intersection. Because if you just play outside the intersection, of course it will not work. For the company, neither for the person. So we had to create this dance with a common language that is based on common value. So yes, I am the authentic myself, but I don't look for all the answer in my job. My job is not my ultimate boat in my life, but my job, it's my playground to express who I am, the values that I am fighting for, in a way that is compatible with my company, and they are looking for the same kind of stuff. So I'm looking at the intersection, and there is other stuff that is not compatible with my job that I express outside my job. So I think you can always be yourself if you do this job of looking at the intersection and the common language, and you give up to look for the charming prince charmant, and you are a little bit more about dialogue and dancing together. Sometimes we ask too much to a company, and we give too little. But we have to find the best intersection for both.
I feel like I can't let you go without talking about your work with indigenous communities.
Which is a passion, huh? You can see.
Yeah, you can't not see it. It's right there, right? But like when I think of the work that you've done, which has been pretty wild and all over the board in good ways for human rights, whether it's been women rights or indigenous people, like what did you feel that when you jumped into this new space? I'm sure there was some unlearning that had to be done, or were there assumptions made, or what is your process for going about understanding real relationships?
That is a very deep question. I think I have a bond with indigenous people. I think I feel, even though myself indigenous people, because one more time I'm looking at the intersection. The connection with nature is something that is really strong for me. This is why I choose to study in Australia, to live in Brazil, to live in Canada, where you have the biggest forest worldwide, very full of biodiversity. So that is my connection with indigenous people. Also, their humility. Indigenous people doesn't dissociate themselves to nature. They really feel perfectly connected. And, I was thinking about it, I think 2 weeks ago, and I have traveled in so many different countries, Australia, Brazil, India, In all the countries where I go, they talk about Mother Nature. They don't talk about natural resources or beautiful landscape or beautiful tree. They talk about Mother Nature. So there is something in this expression that talk to me, which is we are small and there is something bigger. We talk about spirituality.
Yeah.
And for me, what is bigger is nature. And what is behind nature is life, is presence, being present. So indigenous wisdom, the way they connect with nature, they don't take it and look at it as a property. They look at it as a mother, as a connection, as a relationship they depend of. And this humility talked to me. Also, the way indigenous people in Brazil, I have done a lot of projects with Kayapo and Guarani, but also in Canada, the way they connect to each other, I think there is something very energetic in terms of intuition. They don't listen so much to what you say. They trust you or they don't trust you. And most of the time, they are right to trust or untrust. They have a very powerful intuitional sense. And that for me is really interesting. They build long-term relationships. So their relationship with time, about legacy, not destroying, your community, collectivity, your relationship with natural resources, you take just what you need. You have the same concept in Australia, in Brazil, in India. At the end of the day, all these concepts are about universal wisdom. And I really think we should learn from indigenous community because they are more grounded, wise than us. They're still connected to life, they're still present and still connected to the collectivity. So it's something that really make me grow. And I think I always find a way to reconnect with this meaning, this essential meaning of life. This is why I do always project, and also because I'm really revolted about injustice and the issue in terms of human rights in Brazil, in Canada, in Australia, when I saw indigenous community. And I think we should be all revolted and building a way to rebuild our nation together. And that is something also that drives me. Sometimes it's not just positive feelings. Sometimes it's hunger faced to injustice, and I want to correct it and to rebuild some bridge between our nation and build unifying all together. So indigenous people for me are really a deep inspiration, and they bring me a lot of wisdom, and I have so much to learn. And I will never stop learning from people that are truly grounded to life and playing the collective long-term run.
I have to ask, when are you going to run for mayor or president?
I don't exclude that. I'm terrible with that.
Oh,
Me,
stop.
I always take the power where it is. So, but I want to find always the best place to have the best impact. And today, my vehicle is L'Oréal. I am in your bathroom, in your wife's bathroom, in your mother's bathroom. So I'm extremely powerful and discreet at the end of the day. But if one day I have an opportunity to have more impact and to reshape in a way, the society and the value we are fighting for in terms of nature, community, and everything, I will take this power. Without any doubt, I will take it. And not for myself, but for the values that I am fighting for. And it's always what I tell to other women, because most of the time, women, they are a little bit scared about the wording power. And I say, come on, girls, take it and rebalance the society. But take the power not for yourself, take the power for the collectivity, the common good. Take the power to reestablish human rights, take the power to rebuild our society, respecting nature, take the power for energetical transition, take the power to bringing peace, to depolarize, take the power to reshape our society and build a collective society that let nobody behind. So we should change also our relationship to power. So if you give me more power, I take it.
Take it. We need you with power. And it's not for the purpose of power. It's for the purpose of impact. And Maya, you can't not feel your energy. I got to tell you, for me, my hope is that the audience doesn't walk away from this episode, and this is going to sound crazy. I don't want you to walk away inspired. I think that would be a trap if you only walk away inspired. My hope is that you walk away and make one decision, just one, that proves what you actually stand for. Because in the end, no one remembers what you said you believed. They remember what you were willing to do. And Maya, you've been willing to travel to multiple continents for what you believe in. You've been willing to go on new adventures and to learn and to live in that curiosity. And, I really sold this as an episode about L'Oreal. No, probably. It's amazing that they give you permission and they trust you to go on these adventures and really give us a new definition of beauty. But I think it's getting clear on your convictions and taking action on it. And so thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. And if I could get in a time machine now and go 10 years in the future, I would do it just to sort of see where Maya is. And I'm excited to see what continent or challenge you take on next, or if it's this challenge that needs you, go crush it. And thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your brain and your spirit today.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And if I can let a message, we should never underestimate our voice and our power to change things. We are not victim of our society, neither a president or neither a context. We are part of the game, and we still belong to the 1% of the population. So the question is what we do with this power. So Ryan, I hope we will meet together one day and share a glass of wine and spirituality and have a lot of joke together and smile together.
I thought you were coming over for the potluck. No, there's an invitation.
Yes.
You are so in, Maya.
Potluck.
Thanks, Maya. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Courageous Podcast. If you enjoy the show, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts so more people can find us. See you again next week.